Hi. Today I want to talk about impeaching Trump and, in particular, what it would mean with only 5 days left in his term anyway. There are only 5 days left in Trump's first term, his only term thus far. Yeah, he hasn't obviously won any re-election. What good is it going to do to spend all this money, go through this process for an impeachment process that won't even be done by the time he's out of office? Because that's the primary um, idea of an impeachment, is to remove them from office. That's what's written down in it. There's a couple other things that can happen though, and realistically, that's what we're talking about here, and that's to make sure that he can never run for office again, or another hold another office anyway. It doesn't actually say you can't run; it just says you can't hold another public office. Whatever happened to letting the people decide with their vote? He's going to be out of office in a couple days. In 4 years, if he wants to try again, what happened to letting the people try? Not like that. That's been the argument they've made several times in a row. The Democrats, anyway, have made several times in a row. The Republicans have made it a couple times themselves, but they're not very good at, well, much of anything really. The Dems at least are good at getting stuff done, even if I disagree with their tactics often. The Republicans aren't really good at doing anything besides dragging their feet and slowly getting pulled leftward. But what would it accomplish? That's basically all it would do, is make sure he couldn't be president again. It's gonna be 4 years before he can run anyway. Obviously, someone else filling the seat. Yeah, but what's wrong with letting, if you're so sure? Excuse me. This is what gets me too. A lot of people treat this as if it's the 99% of the rational population trying to just shake that one crazy person and say you don't know what's going on. The problem is that it's not 99% telling 1% that they're wrong. It's half the country. And we got a lot of people acting like it's so obvious for everyone, but it's half the country that disagrees with each other. And this isn't a matter of making a point by just making sure that this guy can never hold office again. All you're going to do, you're not going to make this go away at that point. You're just going to really piss people off. And we don't need what kind of stuff the right wing folks do when they go nuts. Because when the left wing guys lose their mind, which is way too often, but they're very mild. The worst they typically do is rioting. And that sounds terrible, but it's mostly peaceful protests. Just 3% of it, they burn down a city or take entire city blocks hostage. Annex parts of them, call them like the Chaz or something. But the problem is when these right wing guys snap, they don't burn down their own communities and rob their own neighborhood stores. They'll charge and take over the Capitol building. They'll build explosive devices. They do stuff like that. They don't attack their own communities, and they don't snap so easily. But when they do, they usually hit federal buildings, and they're very, very dangerous. And we do not need to keep kicking these guys without listening to what they have to say when it's half the country. Because sooner or later, some extremist is going to say it's far enough. No, I'm not threatening anyone or anything like that. I'm pointing out how this stuff happens, and this is an obvious trend that's occurring, and it's pretty obvious where this is going. Anyone can see this who's paying attention. They just put they got 20,000 National Guard dudes getting ready for DC for 5 days from now for the inauguration with heavy equipment. That's Humvees and like tear gas tanks to be in DC. There haven't been that many soldiers in DC since the White House was burned down by the English. And we're just pretending like it's... Do you believe that these guys are going to go nuts and do something? Because it looks like you do with having an army standing by. But we're dismissing this stuff out of hand like it's just a small piece of the population that's angry. You don't need 20,000 soldiers to keep back 1,000 unarmed people. What's going on here? Is this just massive overkill that we're just willing to use absolute overwhelming power on our own citizens? Because that might cause a huge problem too. That might cause rioting, like real damages with people building explosives, like that crazy dude in Nashville. I don't want to see that happen. I'm pretty sure none of you want to see it happen. And a lot of you folks that think you're tough out there, saying you can't wait for it to pop off, you'd be the first ones crapping your pants, curled up in a ball in the corner. I mean, we're already getting violence. 20,000 soldiers. That's the kind of numbers that march through your streets and people take shots out their windows with take shots out the window at. And I don't want to see any of that happening either. But 20,000 soldiers sounds like an occupational force, an occupying force. And if you're on the side of putting all these people in place because these Trump supporters are freaking crazy, take a step back and think for a moment. Who's in control of the National Guard in Washington, D.C.? The President of the United States. Right now, the President is Donald Trump. He's the one getting these soldiers ready. So, I mean, okay, I went to the Secretary of Defense, avid Trump supporter. So if you were on the side of woohoo, yay, keep these crazy Trump nuts under control, they're the ones putting these soldiers here. So now are you a little more concerned? Maybe. What's going on? You can't just ignore these folks. If you think you need to have an army to keep them under control, then how are you going to keep them under control short of having an army ready at all times? And you can. It's a pretty big country. You can't have an army standing by everywhere. Obviously, I mean, there's rumors of armed protests that are supposed to be happening in every capital city across the country in 5 days. I personally don't believe this. I think this is a rumor to scare people. Actually, it could just be a rumor to be able to activate the National Guard like that in D.C. I don't know why people say Trump is sneaky like that. I personally haven't seen anything, and I kind of follow a whole bunch of stuff on both sides of the arguments, and listen to what people are actually saying versus what I'm being told that they're saying. And I haven't heard anything about any planned protests like that. Who knows? I mean, they might be trying to get this to happen by simply saying it'll happen and getting people to show up. That kind of stuff does happen. I mean, a two-party system thrives on division by nature. Maybe they're just trying to cause division. You can't have one side against the other unless you create something to divide us against. Because I got a feeling in reality, both sides of this aisle here, the left and the right, will both be able to actually agree on 99% of stuff, and it's less than 1% of stuff that they're getting ready to spill blood over. And everyone's too busy caring about their party to even have a look what their actual party's supporting and what they're doing. You hate this guy, you hate that guy, you love this guy, you love that woman. Shoot, I bet you 90% of people couldn't tell you one argument either party made during their campaign for president, but everyone's certain that they picked the right guy. I don't know. We all just need to take a step back and actually talk to each other instead of jumping on this divisive crap that's being thrown at us by people who made a ton of money off of it. But that's just my stupid opinion. Good luck. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. If you found what I had to say interesting, thought-provoking, or even just made you flip a coin over and inspect it aside before you determined its value, go ahead and give me a subscribe, or even better, share it out there for someone else to watch. It's only a couple minutes at a time, and I'm just kind of speaking my mind like everyone else should be doing out there. God bless and love you all. Good luck all.